Edmund Spenser. Edmund Spenser stands as a prominent English poet renowned for his magnum opus, The Faerie Queene, an epic poem that masterfully weaves fantastical allegory while celebrating the Tudor dynasty and its emblematic figure, Queen Elizabeth I. His exquisite craftsmanship in the burgeoning realm of modern English verse has positioned him among the preeminent poets of the English language. Born in London around 1552 or 1553, Spenser's early life and family background remain shrouded in mystery. He embarked on his educational journey with a scholarship to the Merchant Taylor School, where he is believed to have delved into the realms of Latin and Greek. Subsequently, he pursued studies in literature and religion at Cambridge University's Pembroke Hall, culminating in a BA degree in 1573 and an MA in 1576. Spenser's literary journey commenced with the publication of his maiden poetry collection, the Shepheardes Calender, in 1579. Dedicated to the esteemed poet Sir Philip Sidney, this work marked his entry into the poetic arena. His most renowned achievement, The Faerie Queene, a monumental English epic, was published in 1596. Additionally, he crafted the sonnet sequence Amoretti and Epithalamion, a heartfelt dedication to his second wife, Elizabeth Boyle. Amid his poetic pursuits, Spenser traversed the realm of politics, assuming roles as a secretary for influential figures such as the Bishop of Rochester and the Earl of Leicester. Through the latter, he found entry into the illustrious court of Queen Elizabeth I, connecting with fellow poets and artists. His involvement extended to political writings, including the incendiary pamphlet, A View of the Present State of Ireland. Tragedy struck in 1598 when Spenser was displaced from his Irish abode during the tumultuous 9 Years' War. He met his demise in London in 1599, finding his final resting place in Poets' Corner within the hallowed confines of Westminster Abbey. Edmund Spenser's indelible legacy as a distinguished poet, masterful allegorist, and contributor to the rich tapestry of English literature endures through the ages. The Spenserian stanza and sonnet. Spenser used a distinctive verse form called the Spenserian stanza in several works, including The Faerie Queene. The stanza's main meter is iambic pentameter with a final line in iambic hexameter, and the rhyme scheme is A-B-A-B, B-C, B-C, C. He also used his own rhyme scheme for the sonnet. In the Spenserian sonnet, the last line of every quatrain is linked with the first line of the next one, yielding the rhyme scheme A-B-A-B, B-C, B-C, C-D, C-D, E-E. Men Call You Fair is a fine sonnet from Amoretti. The poet presents the concept of true beauty in the poem. He addresses the sonnet to his beloved Elizabeth Boyle and presents his courtship. Edmund Spenser believed that love is an inexhaustible source of beauty and order, like all Renaissance men. In this sonnet, the poet expresses his idea of true beauty. The physical beauty will finish after a few days. It is not a permanent beauty. He emphasizes the beauty of the mind and the beauty of intellect in this poem. He considers his beloved is not simply flesh, but is also a spiritual being. The poet states that because of her clean mind, pure heart, and sharp intellect, men call her fair, and she deserves it. The poet praises her spiritual beauty, and he worships her because of her divine soul. Now let's look at some of the major works of Edmund Spenser. The Shepheardes Calender. The Shepheardes Calender marked Edmund Spenser's initial major poetic work, published in 1579. This collection of pastorals was fashioned in emulation of Virgil's eclogues, yet drew inspiration from Renaissance eclogues as well. The title itself employed archaic spellings, evoking a connection to medieval literature and Geoffrey Chaucer. Through the character Colin Clout, borrowed from John Skelton, Spenser depicted the shepherd's life across the 12 months. This work showcased formal innovations and anticipated the elaborate Old Arcadia by Sir Philip Sidney. Noteworthy was the inclusion of extensive commentary by E.K. in the first edition, adding layers of insight and irony. The Shepheardes Calendar is a testament to Spenser's early skill and its commentary's sophistication, with the term sarcasm even making its English debut within the poem. Amoretti. Amoretti is a sequence of sonnets chronicling Edmund Spenser's courtship and eventual marriage to Elizabeth Boyle. Published in 1595 by William Ponsonby as part of the collection Amoretti and Epithalamion, the cycle comprises 89 sonnets along with other poetic works like Anacreontics and Epithalamion. Through skillful wordplay, Spenser immortalizes his beloved's name in these sonnets, tracing the evolution of his love for Elizabeth Boyle. The collection also encompasses his reflections on their marriage and, intriguingly, his separation from her. While some critics have underrated Amoretti in comparison to other Petrarchan-inspired sonnet sequences of the Renaissance, it remains a significant portrayal of Spenser's personal journey and emotions. Epithalamion and Prothalamion. Epithalamion is an ode written by Edmund Spenser to celebrate his wedding day with Elizabeth Boyle in 1594. First published in 1595 as part of Amoretti and Epithalamion, the volume also includes the sonnet sequence Amoretti and other poems. The ode takes the reader through the wedding day, from the early hours of impatient anticipation to the consummation of their marriage. Spenser's meticulous portrayal of the day's progression, represented by its 24 stanzas, mirrors the hours of Midsummer Day, transitioning from youthful enthusiasm to the considerations of legacy for future generations. Prothalamion. Prothalamion, published in 1596, is another composition by Spenser, dedicated to the dual marriage of Elizabeth and Catherine Somerset to Sir Henry Guilford and William Pater. This nuptial song follows a conventional form, starting with a picturesque description of the river Thames. Spenser encounters two maidens, praises their beauty, and bestows blessings upon their marriages. The poem interweaves themes of mythology, notably the myth of Jove and Leda, with the poet's observations by the Thames. T.S. Eliot references a line from Prothalamion in his poem The Waste Land, and composer George Dyson set words from the poem to music in his cantata Sweet Thames Run Softly. A View of the Present State of Ireland. In A View of the Present State of Ireland, published 1596, Spenser discusses plans to control Ireland and addresses the recent uprising led by Hugh O'Neill, emphasizing past failures. The work defends Lord Arthur Grey de Wilton, who influenced Spenser's views as Lord Deputy of Ireland in 1580. The piece's aim is to advocate for reform in Ireland. Spenser argues that Ireland needs to be reformed before it can appreciate English laws. He categorizes Irish evils into laws, customs, and religion, which he believes contribute to a disruptive population. He criticizes the Brehon law system and its approach to murder punishment. Spenser opposes Irish language education, believing it breeds Irish loyalty. He supports a scorched earth policy in Ireland, citing its success in the Second Desmond Rebellion. He grimly describes the famine's toll, attributing the mass deaths to extreme hunger rather than sword combat. In summary, Spenser's work calls for Irish reform, critiques Irish systems, and advocates strong measures to establish English control. The Faerie Queene. The Faerie Queene is a renowned English epic poem written by Edmund Spenser, initially published in 1590 and later republished in 1596 along with books 4 to 6. It spans over 36,000 lines and 4,000 stanzas. A hallmark of the poem is the creation of the Spenserian stanza, showcasing its distinctive form. In this epic, Spenser accompanies various knights to explore diverse virtues on a literal level, while also functioning as a multifaceted allegory. It can be interpreted as an ode to or critique of Queen Elizabeth I. In his Letter of the Authors, Spenser unveils the poem's allegorical layers, aiming to shape the character of a noble person through virtuous lessons. Presenting the first 3 books to Queen Elizabeth I in 1589, likely with Sir Walter Raleigh's support, Spenser sought royal favor. Although it's unclear if Elizabeth ever read the poems, her patronage granted him a life pension. elevating the Faerie Queene to the pinnacle of Spenser's accomplishments. Major characters: Arthur, the central hero of the poem, although he does not play the most significant role in its action. Arthur is searching for the Faerie Queene, whom he saw in a vision. The real Arthur was a king of the Britons in the 5th or 6th century AD, but the little historical information we have about him is overwhelmed by his legend. Faerie Queene, also known as Gloriana. Though she never appears in the poem, the Faerie Queene is the poem's focus. Her castle is the ultimate goal or destination of many of the poem's characters. She represents Queen Elizabeth, among others, as discussed in the commentary. Red Cross. The Red Cross Knight is the hero of Book 1. He stands for the virtue of holiness. His real name is discovered to be George, and he ends up becoming Saint George, the patron saint of England. On another level, though, he is the individual Christian fighting against evil, or the Protestant fighting the Catholic Church. Una, Red Cross's future wife and the other primary protagonist in Book 1. She is meek, humble, and beautiful, but strong when necessary. She represents truth, which Red Cross must find a true Christian. Duessa, the opposite of Una. She represents falsehood and nearly succeeds in getting Red Cross to leave Una for good. She appears beautiful, but it is only skin deep. Archimago, next to Duessa, a primary antagonist in Book 1. Archimago is a sorcerer capable of changing his appearance or that of others. In the end, his magic is proven weak and ineffective. Britomart, the hero of Book 3, the female warrior virgin who represents chastity. She is a skilled fighter and strong heart, with a remarkable capacity for calm in troublesome circumstances. Of course, she is chaste, but she also desires true Christian love. She searches for her future husband Arthigol, whom she saw in a vision through a magic mirror. Summary and themes of the poem. The Faerie Queene has 6 books, each with distinct protagonists embodying virtues. Book 1 follows Red Cross Knight and his lady Una. The Red Cross Knight, who represents holiness and who serves the Faerie Queene, has the ultimate goal to find and slay the dragon that has been terrorizing Una's parents at their castle in Eden. But he has many adventures and faces many challenges before that. Together, Red Cross Knight and Una fight Error, the fierce half-woman, half-serpent monster, face the evil wizard Archimago's deception, who disguises himself as a friendly old man and uses his illusion magic to make Red Cross believe Una has been unfaithful, causing him to continue his journey without her. Finally, after the reconciliation with Una, Red Cross Knight defeats the dragon in a fierce 3-day battle. Red Cross and Una can finally be married, although Red Cross has to leave soon in order to fulfill his duties to the Faerie Queene. Book 2 switches over to Sir Guyon, who represents temperance and who, like the Red Cross Knight, also goes on adventures in service of the fairy court. It shows how he resists the evil pleasure-seeking witch Arcasia's enchantments. Book 3 focuses on Britomart, who represents chastity and is the only major knight in the book who is a woman. The book follows her quest for Arthigol, who she believes will be her eventual husband, after she sees him in a vision shown to her by the famous wizard Merlin. Book 4 focuses on the characters Campbell, Triamond, and Scudamore, highlighting friendship and love. In the meanwhile, in Book 3, Britomart and Arthigol finally meet and fall in love with each other. In Book 5, Arthigol's pursuit of justice is followed, freeing an innocent woman named Irena from an evil tyrant called Grantotto and defeating Ratigant with the help of Britomart. Book 6 centers on Calidore pursuing the blatant beast and encountering Pastorella. The unfinished Book 7 introduces the character Mutability. Mutability is descended from Titans and tries to argue that she is more powerful than Jupiter and so should rule heaven, but she is unsuccessful. The 7th book ends without a definitive ending, as Spenser died before completing his planned 12 books. Themes of the play. Allegory of virtue. A letter written by Spenser to Sir Walter Raleigh in 1590 contains a preface for the Faerie Queene, in which Spenser describes the allegorical presentation of virtues through Arthurian knights in the mythical fairyland. Presented as a preface to the epic in most published editions, this letter outlines plans for 24 books, 12 based each on a different knight who exemplified one of 12 private virtues, and a possible 12 more centered on King Arthur displaying 12 public virtues. Religion. The Faerie Queene was written during the Reformation, a time of religious and political controversy. After taking the throne following the death of her half sister Mary, Elizabeth changed the nation's official religion to Protestantism. Archetypes. Some literary works sacrifice historical context to archetypal myth, reducing poetry to biblical quests, whereas Spenser reinforces the actuality of his story by adhering to archetypal patterns. Throughout the Faerie Queene, Spenser does not concentrate on a pattern which transcends time, but uses such a pattern to focus the meaning of the past on the present. Symbolism and allusion. Throughout the Faerie Queene, Spenser creates a network of allusions to events, issues, and particular persons in England and Ireland, including Mary, Queen of Scots, the Spanish Armada, the English Reformation, and even the Queen herself. It is also known that James VI of Scotland read the poem and was very insulted by Duessa, a very negative depiction of his mother, Mary, Queen of Scots. The Faerie Queene was then banned in Scotland. This led to a significant decrease in Elizabeth's support for the poem. Within the text, both the Faerie Queene and Belphoebe serve as two of the main personifications of Queen Elizabeth, some of which are far from complimentary.